Welcome back to the Stressful to Successful podcast with your beloved co-host Tiffany, Chasson, and myself. Well, you know who I am, Jaden D'Amico.
Hey.
And we're basically doing recaps on our previous episode we had with the gentleman Scott Rich, the real estate freaking guru who knows literally everything about real estate. He talked a lot about how like tenant culture, how California generally is, how he literally built a legacy out of $17,000. Previous to all that, he was on Extra. Read all about it. You know, this whole television thing. And I don't think they do that for people anymore, which is pretty crazy. And
For bodybuilding,
every magazine you could think of, Muscle Magazine, this magazine, that magazine, all the magazines, has a beautiful life that he's built for himself, and how he was extremely depressed and sad.
I think that was the main takeaway for both of us, because a lot of people think that once you achieve financial freedom or you achieve a certain goal, you get a certain career milestone, that you're going to be happy. And that's not necessarily the case for most people. And he was very much a direct example of that. You know, money doesn't buy happiness. It aids in, doing more things, having more fun, having more flexibility with your time. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be happy.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, clearly.
But that's the same with like celebrities too.
Anyone.
Like a lot of celebrities, like people think that they post on Instagram, they post on social media. They think they have this picture perfect life, and most of them are severely depressed because it's really, you have different issues when you have money.
I mean, look at Kanye. No offense, buddy.
But you have different issues when you have money. Like it's hard to make friends in general, but you really don't know who is there for the right reasons when you're at a certain status. But not even that. Like you can't. External happiness only goes so far, and it only goes so long, right? Like something can make you happy, but you say you bought like your dream car. That will make you happy for a couple of days, but then you get used to it. And if you're not happy with the rest of your life and you're not happy with yourself, that's just another thing that you bought.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to Andrew Tate. Love him or hate him, all right. First off, no, but I was listening to Andrew Tate, and he actually made some pretty good points about money. He's like, once you make $20 million a year, you already own all the watches. You already own all the designer clothes. You already own all the houses. You own your jet. You can fly wherever you want. You own all the supercars. You own your Bugatti. What color is your Bugatti? You own all these things, and then what? So I want you to think about that. You know, a lot of people are just like, oh, one day I'm going to be so rich. I'm going to be, yeah, you will. You damn sure will. You will be able to do these wonderful things.
But it would suck if you did all these wonderful things and you were still miserable.
Yes.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
You go on your dream vacation and you're miserable.
Exactly, Jeff. So Scott says, fix yourself before you fix your finances. Not
invest in yourself.
Well, yeah, invest in yourself. You know, make sure that you're mentally okay. Make sure that you're happy, that you're fine, that you're dandy before you really focus on breaking down yourself to build yourself, like financially speaking.
Well, I think it's also about like being a good leader. If you're not happy inside, you're not going to be able to be your best version of yourself, to lead your company, to give advice to your friends. Like you're not going to be able, you can't give to others if you can't give to yourself first, because then you're not the best version of yourself. No one wants a broken leader. You know,
that's a funny thing that you mentioned before you can give to others. You know, a friend of mine, he's dead now, but
that's sweet.
He said when he was building his career and he had all this money and stuff, he would go out with his friends and they would just automatically expect him to pay. They would, or they would ask him for funds or be like, why am I paying for my own trip here when you make all this money? And when you get wealthy, you really start to lose friends. I mean, like,
or even just with this podcast, to be honest, like, even if you just have an idea or you're doing something different, forget about the money. If it's just like you're doing something not in the status quo,
fucking cloud chasers.
That, or they're super like negative. They don't support you until it's big.
Yeah.
You know, like they don't care. They brush it off. They put you down. But then once it grows and you get certain people, you get to a certain status, you gain a certain amount of followers, or, you know, you're traveling all over, then people are like, wait, let me be your friend again. And that's the issue. Like, so many people are so great at turning, like, they're so supportive of all these celebrities, commenting all these nice things on people's Instagrams, but they won't support their friends.
Yeah, that itself is depressing, thinking about it. I mean, imagine just, you know, making like 300,000-400,000 a month, and you know, your friends that you thought your friends that you thought were your friends, you know, may have been your friends in the beginning, but now they just see you a little bit differently. They see you as, you know, a wallet, and when you go and mention, hey man, you know, I don't really want to pay for all this stuff for you, and then they go and say things like, well, you made all this money, and I was there I was back when you were, so on and so forth. Remember when you were little and this happened and I this for you, and so much and so forth. With that, you know, that's another level of depression, and
It's almost like blackmail in a weird way.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, who wants to be friends with that? Pick your friends, you know, like, and they do. It's very true. If you hang out with knuckleheads and you plan on being a successful person, it's hell of a lot easier breaking away from the knuckleheads.
Well, I think it's also just putting yourself in the right place. Like, you can have friends for different reasons. Like, you can have friends to go out with. You can have friends to, you know, get work done with. You can have friends that you like to go for coffee or to work out with or whatever it may be. But it's really those people that you can do everything with that are like the real ones.
And people may think, you know, like, oh, it's not that serious. But it's seriously a little bit serious. You know, it's not nice. You know, it's kind of heartbreaking if you think about it. I mean, like I've already lost some friends, you know, just
from starting this podcast.
Yeah, just from starting this podcast and the success that we're getting from this, and of course just inspiring everyone. That's literally all this is about, is inspiration, you know? And it fucking sucks. It does suck, because now I feel like I really feel like it's sometimes like I don't have friends, you know? I got my beautiful partner, Tiffany, you know, but that's it. Even with family. But you just
need to make higher quality friends.
Yeah, but you can't make higher quality family even though too.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I'm saying is, if you're trying to get somewhere, it's a lot easier, but it's sad. It's a lot easier to
be comfortable.
No, I'm saying it's a lot easier to let the baggage go. If you're hiking up a mountain.
That's hard. It's mentally hard.
Yeah, it's
easier after the fact, but not during.
Honestly, I feel like if you got it as in you have the mentality to do something, to go somewhere with yourself, you know, and bring others with you, great. But the sad part is trying to climb that mountain and everyone's asking for like a free ride on the way up. It's like, dude, I'm trying to fucking build something for me. We are all our own person, you know?
You chose to sit on your ass for the past year.
And all of a sudden, like let's say I invited a friend of mine to go build a business together, and I'm over here doing all the work, and he slacks off, and just as it starts to get noticed, oh, I'm back now. I'm here. I'm gonna put in the effort now that money's rolling in. I'm, you know, like even these podcasts, you don't make money. You don't make anything in the beginning. Nothing. You get brand deals eventually. You know what I mean? And that's what it pays. That's what will pay you later on. You know, here's the dog food. Everybody buy it. I have a dog. I feed my dog this every single day. Yada, yada, yada. You know, whatever. Or here's a makeup brand. I use it when I'm broadcasting. See how great it looks on camera?
Do you? No. What brand do you wear? I'm learning a lot.
Sephora, MAC, you know.
Sephora.
C20. You
C20.
know, found that out when I was a kid, actually. He
was with his mom at the makeup counter and he was bored, so.
That and hung out with a lot of gay guys in my younger days. And
that's all he tells me. He brags to me that he knows his concealer shade, and I don't even know my concealer shade half the time.
It's
pretty
you
great.
can't forget a simple letter C, A, B, C.
No,
and 20.
no, but like my skin color changes. Like when I'm tanner, I wear a different shade.
Well, shit.
And every brand has different shade ranges and different names for their shades.
Okay.
But now that I know that you're the universal C20, I know what to get you for your birthday.
That's universal?
That's what you said.
Please don't give me makeup for my birthday.
Anyways,
You're going to have to make up getting makeup for my birthday.
Anyways, speaking of like protecting yourself and, having boundaries and stuff, let's talk a little bit about real estate and kind of what Scott was talking about, especially in terms of California. Because if you guys don't know, California is a pro-renter state. There's so many laws that do not protect the landlords at all. They only protect the tenants, the renters. And it's caused a lot of issues for a lot of my family friends lately that are renting their place, that are, they can't get their tenants out that aren't paying rent. They're squatting. They have even after the lease has ended, they still can't get them out. It's just like a crazy time to be trying to make real estate investments, I feel. But what Scott was saying was that does happen, and that is the case, but he puts in his contracts very specific verbiage to try to prevent it.
And it does help. He had a squatter, I think once or twice, he said, and this was before his contracts were like extremely thorough.
It's still difficult to kick people out. Like, that is the name of the game, but he's made it a lot easier for himself. Yeah, and I think also the main thing that he said that helps is checking people's credit. Yeah.
So just we should probably do that for friends.
Can you imagine? It's like, hey, what's your name? And now it's like, what's your pronouns? And then it's like, yeah, what's your credit score? Can you show me in your banking app? Because I just want to see if you're like what kind of quality of person you are.
Yeah, because do
you pay your bills on time?
Right. What a credit score shows, and we all have mess ups in life. Okay, I've had them myself. You see the credit drop because you make stupid decisions, or you trust something that things are going to go a great way, and then your credit drops, and you may still be a great person. Okay. But
9 out of 10 times.
It goes to show that, mistakes are mistakes. But imagine having, first off, a credit score. Everyone knows what a damn credit score is, but generally it's a reflection of who you are. And I knew this before he even mentioned it. It's a reflection of who you are. If you can pay your bills on time, if you have great money management, time management, yada yada management. And if you don't, then why the hell am I going to have this knucklehead move into my place and put my life, my credit in jeopardy? It's
and they could trash the place. Like, there's so many things that people that don't have that respect or that type of work ethic, or what's the right word? Pretty much just this isn't necessarily you're paying rent, but this technically you don't own this place. You start painting the walls different colors, like he's going to have to fix that later on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's credit, if you're looking at getting into rental properties, A is to go
do a background check.
Yep. We do a background check, see if they're, have a terrible past, rental background check generally with references. Hell, I would even go as far as show me photos of what your current place looks like right this minute. You have 2 minutes to send me a photo, or you're not getting a place.
Well, yes and no, because it is hard to rent places out. So you do want the money. So it is like a balancing act between collecting rent and.
But here in California, it doesn't necessarily take multiple months to try to fill a place up, because we have
a shortage.
Yeah, we have a huge home shortage for, everyone's renting.
Well, I guess you'd much rather rent it to the right person that's going to pay than rent it to somebody that's not paying. You have somebody in there and you're not making money anyways.
Yes, one is going to cost you money later, and one is just not.
And it still costs you money too, because they're running electricity and water and all that stuff. So you're paying their utilities, and they're not paying any rent.
Well, sometimes. I mean, some places have where you're able, like the place I'm moving to, I got to pay the utilities, the water, the gas.
No, but I'm saying if you have a squatter and they don't pay and they're sitting in there, then not only are you not collecting rent, but you're having to pay their bills.
Yep.
So definitely better to have somebody trustworthy in your place than just to have somebody there to pay the rent.
Yep. And we also learned that California itself is not a bad place to invest in for rental properties.
I still prefer, I think it's better to go to other states, but it's not as bad as I thought. Well, it is as bad as I thought. If you can protect yourself, it's not as bad as I thought.
Just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to make the damn jump. All right. Like you make the jump to go get your driver's license, right? To
that was the worst experience of my life.
Yeah. Fuck that shit.
One of the worst. I cried.
I got my motorcycle's license in like 5 minutes. I was driving illegally for like quite some time, probably about a few months when I got my motorcycle. And I was like, why am I going to go take this test if I may or may not want to even ride the bike anymore? I did get insurance, and I think it was like $45 a month for full coverage. But I did
really?
It was very inexpensive, surprisingly, right?
Yeah,
because think about it.
Sound like it.
Well, the thing is, I think that vehicles like my truck, like $60,000, insurance is going to be more because the price of the damn thing.
No, but people get into
and it's a big
motorcycles
vehicle.
Are more dangerous. So
yeah, they're more dangerous, but they're less damage caused.
I guess.
Only thing that's
you think like your insurance would be higher for a motorcycle.
I thought so too. And even for sports cars, I thought insurance would be higher for sports cars. Not necessarily the case. I got an insurance quote for a Lamborghini and an Audi R8.
Why?
I was bored.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me something different.
Well, okay. I have this whole plan that, once I reach a certain level of success, the only gift to myself will be an Audi R8.
Not a house. He'd rather just live in a car.
No, it will be house. That's not a gift to myself. That's an investment. But I guess so was the liability of whatever I would purchase that would be massive is going to be an Audi R8. $170,000 plus $225,000 car, whatever. Insurance on those things, full coverage. I think they quoted me $230 a month. $230. My truck is just around the same. And I think there's some BS about the color of the vehicle too. I don't think that matters anymore. I don't think that was a thing. I think it was like
I think insurance, people just don't know. They just pull out random rules out of their butt.
Yeah, Google. Bullshit facts. Fact check. Blah, blah, blah.
Anyways, let's talk a little bit about I kind of want to get at how his he was a bodybuilder when he was in college, and he did it the natural way. He didn't have any drugs, didn't do any of that. But the main thing I wanted to get at was how his skills and discipline of him bodybuilding kind of set him up for the rest of his life. And the fact that he perfected what he did and he did it diligently. He didn't give himself excuses. He didn't, do the easy way of taking steroids or whatever it may be. And he kind of just let every experience be what it was. He had no idea that he was going to get into all that stuff or that he was going to, create a portfolio of 55 rental properties. You're going to have to start at one at a time and not get too psyched out because people psych themselves out.
It's dedication, baby. If you're dedicating, if you can, I told myself this too. I still am considerably a scrawny little boy. When I look at myself in the mirror, whatever, body dysmorphia. And I was 120 pounds and I was 24 years old, 25.
You weighed less than me.
Yeah. I weighed what my mom weighs. You know what I mean? She doesn't go to the gym for the life of her. Jaden, all these excuses. Is
that what she sounds like?
Yeah, very much so. So she makes all these excuses on going to the gym and doing things, et cetera, et cetera. And no offense, but you end up staying in the same situation that you're in. And poverty is taught. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he mentions that book. In Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that gentleman, Robert, mentions how poverty is taught. If you grow up in a general, whatever the pronoun or whatever for poverty is, let's say poor, or average. I don't know literature very well. I didn't go to college, barely paid attention in high school. But when you don't dedicate yourself to like for me right now, I didn't dedicate myself into learning about vocabulary and all these other things. So what am I doing now? Making a total tale of myself. But if you dedicate yourself into, like I did, going to the gym. The reason I started it was, well, I didn't want to be skinny anymore. I wanted to be more ripped. I wanted to be full. I wanted to love my body and love me for me, and be able to enjoy life and be old and not so damn covered up in BS and just like all these excuses. And I can't reach down and pick up this remote that I dropped on the floor.
But I think you've also realized that it has to come from your internal too. You know, no matter how hard you work out, if you're not happy with yourself inside, it's not going to matter.
Yes. So what I did was I started going to the gym. And I told myself, if I cannot dedicate an hour or so a day into my own health, how am I going to dedicate time into building a business? And so I went to the gym repetitively, fell in love with how I feel walking out of the gym, and
the results,
and noticing results generally quickly over the course of a few months. You know, they say just don't look in the mirror. You know, when guys
have it easier.
Yeah, we have testosterone.
We see results faster
generally, but you know, it got it to so where I can. After I started going to the gym, I started putting together this online school to help Kenyans, Filipinos, and Mexicans called Caregiver University. Right.
And I think it was a discipline from working out that helped you.
Yeah, totally disciplined. And now look at us. We're broadcasting every week to
all over the world.
All over the world, to potentially everybody or potentially nobody. And who cares? Because we're doing it because we love it and it's enjoyable and it makes us feel good. A lot. And we're learning a whole lot. I mean, damn, it's so crazy. All the folks we've had on here, they all share the one thing in common. That's straight up dedication, baby.
And also, I think what we were kind of talking about right before we started this podcast was most people, I won't say everybody, has it in them to be an entrepreneur or to have entrepreneurial thoughts. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean you have to quit your 9-to-5. It doesn't mean you have to, you know, if you want to have the job security with pay stubs and everything and have your 401k and your health care, like I'm not saying to quit that for sure, but to also have something that fuels you and lights you up. If you're not super passionate about your job, have a side hustle. It doesn't even need to make you money, but maybe it's you love to paint. Maybe it's you love to, you know, play soccer.
A job.
It doesn't even need to matter.
Yes, babe. A job is literally to pay your bills, and it
doesn't have to be.
It's not it doesn't have to be forever. You know, you see people working at Mickey D's and they're like, I really don't want to be here. And
but you know what? Some people may love it.
I'm passionate about making wine. Well, why the hell are you working at McDonald's? Go work at a vineyard or a winery and learn how to make wine. Take classes, invest. I know you're going to get into this. Invest some money that you make into a hobby that you have. Because like this, for an example, for us, Stressful to Successful podcast is literally a hobby. It's a hobby for us. It's a hobby. It helps us get to know really crazy stories about people's lives, and it helps us want to continue to drive ourselves.
And to connect with people too that, you know, maybe had a different path growing up and they, you know, just kept saying yes or kept taking opportunities and it ended up in a different spot. And that's totally okay as long as you're happy with what you're doing. If you're not, just take one step forward to making yourself happy. It doesn't need to be your job. You don't need to live to work. You know, you don't need to live and breathe what you do for work. But if you love your job, which very few people are fortunate enough to love their job, that's amazing as well. But I think the main takeaway I got from the last episode with Scott was, as a kid, everyone wants to grow up fast. You want to wear your mom's high heels. You want to start putting makeup on. The guys want to, you know, go to the gym, get really big and, you know, drive their dad's fancy car or whatever it may be. But as an adult, all we want to do is have that feeling as of when we were a kid, like getting lit up and excited about not the most mundane things, but things that we wouldn't necessarily be super excited about. Like yesterday we went on a walk and like the stars were like glistening, and we were just like walking around the neighborhood, and honestly like we were so present. Both of us forgot our phones. He was going to take a picture of me and he was like, oh wait, we both forgot our phones.
Yeah, there was we walked past this Mexican restaurant and there was this little well, not little, it was freaking massive shrimp statue type thing on wheels. And I was like, Tiffany, we had a date here, like one of our our fourth date.
Yeah, something like that.
And I was like, we gotta document this moment because I'm getting the hell out of this area. And what are the chances of us coming back here to take a picture with a freaking shrimp? So I was like, where's the phone? Oh, I don't have my phone. I'm like, well, shoot.
I don't have mine either.
And damn.
Which honestly was a great realization, because sometimes we're so glued to our phones that the fact that we both didn't even realize we didn't have them, I was like, that is growth. That to me is great, because that means that we were just present and we didn't feel the need to like have it on us, which was really nice. But I think that's like the main takeaway for me is really just like, okay, what did I love as a kid, or what made me excited as a kid? Well, I danced 5 days a week. I loved, taking acting classes. I loved creating YouTube videos. I loved playing with makeup. I loved playing with fashion. I loved playing tennis and skiing and doing arts and crafts. Do I do all those things still? Some of them are weather dependent. Some of them cost money. Really just depends. But you have to invest in things like, why are people fine spending $25 per drink at a bar when they're not fine spending $25 to go to play a soccer game? Or, like they're in a soccer league, or $25 to go to a dance class, or
the money's there, man. I mean, like,
well, it's just how you choose to spend your money. And I'm not telling people how to, but it's just crazy conceptually that people won't spend it on something that lights them up. They'll spend it on a substance that makes them numb the pain or whatever.
I was listening to this video when I was auto scrolling, and someone, I don't remember the dude's name, but if you're listening, don't stop here. This is really interesting. The guy was saying, if you're going to spend like $10 into McDonald's, you're going to buy like 50 sodas or whatever to stock up your refrigerator or all these things. He's like, dude, don't do that. And I was like, why? Saying to myself,
why?
Like, I want McDonald's, or I want these sodas. I don't drink that shit, or eat it, but and the guy was like, don't buy these sodas, don't buy the McDonald's physically. Buy the stock. Use that money, that $10 that you were going to buy in McDonald's for that burger, to buy the McDonald's stock.
Can you eat the stock?
You can eat the stock, but go make a burger at the house. You have the capability.
Learn a nude. I was making a joke.
You're cute. And instead of buying the Coca-Cola, I think it was like Berkshire Hathaway, that gentleman, Omaha, Nebraska, whatever his name was. You know who it is if you're listening. Anyway, he instead of buying like Coca-Cola at a young age, he would just buy the stock online and use that money to go do that. And look where he ended up generating like $230 billion.
Well, yeah, because Coca-Cola is massive.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter. Even if it's $150 now per share, for an example, what $15 invested into these little things, buying a quarter share or a fraction of it, and it'll eventually equal one full share. And then in like 5 years, that $250 could turn into $500, for an example.
Yeah, very true.
Same with Roth IRAs. I was showing you this morning on the way to the gym. And just stop buying BS. If it's not good for you, don't buy it, and buy something that's good for you. The stock.
But Scott was saying he doesn't really invest much in the stock market. He does mostly real estate. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about this tax code that my parents have heard of. I just haven't. But it was very interesting. So in the state of California, you can buy a property, and then if you live in it for 2 years out of 5, so you have the property for 5 years, and out of the 5 you've lived in, that was your primary residence for 2, you don't have to pay property tax on it up to a certain amount, up to like $200,000 or $250,000, which, especially as you're first starting to grow and you're first starting to buy your first property or second property, like that's quite a bit of savings.
Yep.
And there's a lot of not loopholes, but like kind of loopholes out there that maybe instead of watching TV for 4 hours tonight, we should read up on it.
Well,
you
yeah.
know?
I mean, clearly, okay. If you're listening to this episode or listening to any of the episodes, you're interested in learning something. You find this stuff interesting.
Or motivating yourself to just do what you've been putting off for years.
So let's close this out by getting off your tail once again and go buy that book. Go buy that audio book. Go take a class on whatever it may be, arts and crafts or stocks or day trading or rentals, or get that real estate license. Do these things that you freaking want to do, man.
But it doesn't need to be scary. Do take one step at a time. Like maybe the first thing is you buy a book or you take a course, or maybe it's just that you go on YouTube and you start listening to people that have done stuff and start listening to how they were able to build their portfolio, or, how they were able to start whatever online business they were starting or side hustle. At least then you know that it's doable and attainable and anybody can do it. It's just putting in the time and not letting no's get in your way. Because you know how many times we've had no's? People have said no to us so much.
Yeah, even getting on the show. I'm like, dude, this is literally free marketing for you. For one, you're being able to get your story out there that no one ever really even, it seems, to want to care to ask, except people maybe at a bar that may have seen you or something. And then you're like, oh, I grew up down the road and we used to throw rocks at roofs or something, and then this is just
or they're just flaky and they don't show up.
Yeah, very flaky. People are very flaky.
Either way, I think that's something. If someone were to ask you, what sets you apart from other people, and not trying to judge other people, but what sets you apart from the masses? I think if someone were to ask us that question, it'd be that we have a really good attitude and we're always early and we're good people. People persons?
We're good people.
No, good with people.
People pleasers? No, I think that's kind of
you know what I'm saying? Good people.
A weird thing to say.
No, good with people. Good, bouncing off people's energy. Most people like to be around.
We connect.
I don't know what the right word is, but anyways, we people, connect. Persons.
Whatever. But listen, the last thing I want to get out here, I'm going to say it one more time, and I want you to say it with me. Dedication, baby.
Dedication, baby.
And that's going to be the name of this episode. Dedication, baby.
And you guys know where to find us. We're on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts. We're on Instagram, TikTok, all of the things. And we will see you guys next week.